House Marquee are a studio who, for 2 decades, were making a whole host of top-down arcade shooters. You may know their title Super Stardust. But in 2017 they declared they'd be moving on to new things. Returnal is the result of that. This third-person roguelike shooter is basically just an arcade shooter, actually. The more of Returnal you play, the more it feels like a wolf in sheep's clothing, using the trappings of a popular modern genre to smuggle in the gameplay House Marquee is known for. It's got one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and sometimes that works. Sometimes, though, it doesn't. You play as Celine, trapped in a time loop where the rooms and areas of the world you find yourself in change each time you die. You have to dodge, sprint, and shoot whilst avoiding hits to maintain precious adrenaline, a buff that goes upon losing health. It's exhilarating, chaotic enough to keep the blood pumping, and from the first moments specifically evokes arcade shooters. And the further on you go, the more it becomes a full-on bullet hell game, which needs a very high level of skill to complete. The game runs smooth as butter, no matter how busy things get on screen, and trust me, they get busy. I was always hitting a consistent 60 FPS even on max settings, which is just what you want from a game so focused on fast, precise action. Elsewhere, unfortunately, the game struggles to find a similar balance. Despite the roguelike structure, there's a clear reluctance to let the RPG elements traditional to the genre have too much bearing on the skill-based combat. There's almost no consistent progression, both overall and within a run, and combined with the long length of runs, you can spend hours and hours making no meaningful progress towards your goal at all. On that note, runs are very risk-reward. Should you stay back and search for loot and risk getting messed up, or run ahead with nothing but the basic pistol and risk not being able to beat whatever you come across later on? This is especially frustrating against bosses, which are fantastic bullet hell fever dreams in the moment, but because it can take so long to get back to them, and there's no way to guarantee good loot or high health, dying in a few hits when you do finally get there and going back to square one again makes it hard to find that satisfying medium you want from such a tough game. In the moment, it looks and feels excellent. It's some of the best and most engaging action you'll find on PC, but it feels like that need to present it as something other than a pure test of twitch reflexes has led to it being housed in totally the wrong structure. There's a sense that, though the developer perfectly understands how to stage a fight, it doesn't really get what makes people love roguelikes, and certainly never figured out how to make that gel with what people love about arcade shooters. The result is a game that, though frequently fun and hugely satisfying to conquer, also demands far more patience than is reasonable. Even the story, despite a promising start and some wonderfully thick horror atmosphere, ends up being frustratingly vague and aimed more at the creators of 20-minute ending explained videos than the average player. A certain breed of gaming masochist will really get into Returnal's unwavering challenge, but most will likely be pushed away. The irony is that the game's post-release DLC, bundled in free with the PC port, offers a glimpse of what could have been. The Tower of Sisyphus is an endless survival challenge that simply warps you from room to room for brief but frantic fights. Rewards come thick and fast, a high score system gives you new reasons to hone your skills, and runs are quick and satisfying. It gets right at the meat of what the game is good at, and I found myself wishing it had been the template for the whole game, instead of just a sideshow. For better and worse, this is a game defined by House Marquee's struggle with its own identity. On the one hand, it's a frenzied shooter that brings to bear decades of arcade experience into a supremely satisfying and frequently beautiful experience. On the other, it's a half-hearted grab at a more popular genre that fails to understand what makes its fellow roguelikes work so well. If this is truly a new era for House Marquee, I can only hope its next project has a clearer vision of that future.